Welcome to the Complete Game Podcast, where we're all about baseball with Ethan Dungan, owner of Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop, Rick Finley, founder of MD&I Baseball Academy, and the creator of George Foster Baseball, the MVP himself, Reds Hall of Famer George Foster. I'm your host, Greg Dungan. Now let's talk baseball. Welcome back.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the Complete Game Podcast. This is episode 21. And today we're going to be talking about getting outs with pitching. So we're going to profile some hitters and try and set up a handful of sort of archetypes is a big fancy word, but profiles.
Stereotypes, maybe?
Stereotypes
Profiles,
of what what different types of hitters are likely to do. And then we're going to talk about pitch strategy, everything from pitch selection to sequencing to specific strategies to use from the mound to try and get these outs for your team. So that's what we're into today. The first thing we're going to do is start. I will go through for our Name 5 segment, I will go through each one of these, and we're going to talk about a little bit about them, and then we're going to name some current players who, or past players, doesn't really matter. We're going to name some players that are like these people,
that embody that profile,
fit these stereotypes, so that you can kind of get an idea. Oh, when they talk about this one, that might be like this player or that player, and kind of give you a frame of reference to for when you're watching this on television or listen to it on the radio or something like that. Okay, so are we ready to go?
I'm ready. I'm excited.
So our first one is the leadoff. Mm-hmm. So this guy is looking to get on base. This is his number one goal. He gets up in the morning, eats his Wheaties, and gets on base. That's his job. Very fast, usually. A fast guy that can get there in a hurry. Kind of guy who can beat out a drop third strike.
Infield hits.
Yeah. Guys, you got to be aware. You got to be worried even if it's on the ground. Mm-hmm. You know, they're not usually power guys. These guys are. You wouldn't be in the bigs if you couldn't hit it over the fence, but they're not likely to do that as often as guys in the middle of the lineup. So
not the main objective.
Yeah, that's not what they're out there to do. They'll do it, as often as is pertinent, but they won't. That's not their goal when they get up there. It doesn't do you any good to go over the fence if there's nobody on base, does it, George?
Well, that's it. You find that some guys who can hit home runs leading off, it just now becomes a solo, but you want to have somebody on base so that pitcher can be in a stretch position. And that's where when you start making a lineup, knowing that factor, some guys get happy about trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I know I beat this guy's name to death, Frito. He likes to hit home runs, but being able to get on base, he doesn't really realize how it sets up the offense.
Yeah, and I think that's a really underrated point, is that the guy on base is more than an RBI.
Right.
He's changing the approach of the pitcher to the batter, and that was something that I had never even considered until you had brought that up when we first started.
He now can't throw out of his windup. He has to throw out of his stretch, especially when the guy on base is a stealing threat. So
yeah, exactly.
You can't. You've changed you've already put the pitcher in a defensive posture.
Mm-hmm. Now the what they call is going to be different.
Right.
So he's on base now. You're going to get guys who can hit fastballs, more fastballs.
Yes.
So that's why I say it's very important in the lineup how the balance and then being able to have guys protecting one another. Mm-hmm. And I use that statement many times is that speed sets up power. And say, what do you mean by that? Well, you get a Morgan or a Griffey on base, and you know that as a hitter, you're going to get fastballs. And I said this to a guy the other day. I said, do not put a breaking ball hitter behind a base stealer. Like, why? Well, you're going to get fastballs, and he's a breaking ball hitter.
Yeah.
So you don't want that guy right behind a base stealer.
The other thing is, maybe not so much in the major leagues because of the pitcher's level of skill and being able to pitch equally well from the stretch or the windup. But if you're talking about younger players, they may have pitches that don't work as well from the stretch as they do from the windup.
Yeah, for sure.
And by getting them in the stretch, you may get a different pitch selection because now they had to go to different things.
Especially at the youth level with varying degrees of catcher competence.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you may find that some of the velocity comes off of that fastball, or that curveball gets left out there and it hangs now because they got to throw it differently. So those are the way that goes. They the leadoff hitter oftentimes will struggle with high velocity.
This was a so-so one. This was kind of a. At some point, I had to turn this more into a person. That's not a hard and fast one, just kind of a characteristic, and I think that comes from not looking as maybe just a lower exit velocity. They're not hitting the ball as hard, but you could have a leadoff hitter that can handle velocity. I was just trying to add one more thing that I do see sometimes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, the one thing about leadoff hitters, though, is you're going to get a lot of good discipline out of these guys.
You need one that has discipline.
Yes.
But also you need one that understanding that back to the situation that you don't have to take the first pitch. If you're going to take the first pitch, at least fake that you're going to bunt. Do something. Don't just say, okay, just throw it over the plate. I'm not going to even try to contest this. And I see guys just taking the first pitch because they think about, well, I'm going to get the pitch count up, or I want to, but they're not getting information from that taking that first pitch.
And I think
that's the key.
And you've mentioned this too before, Rick, that one of the lesser brought up roles of the leadoff guy is just to reveal information, is to get the pitcher to show as many of his cards as possible so that the rest of the lineup behind him is prepared for that.
Exactly. Let make him throw a lot of pitches, foul off pitches, got to control the strike zone. That's the key.
Kind of almost like
and you have to be a good two strike hitter also.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, keep the at bat alive.
Kind of reminds me of how a quarterback might put somebody in motion, even if it's not going to then affect the play. He's trying to get the defense to tell you the coverage. Kind of a same concept.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Show your cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So who are some guys that come to mind when you think about leadoff guys like this? Ethan?
I got two. Number one, I put Kenny Lofton. A guy who he's on the Hall of Fame fence, and some guys argue for it, some guys argue against it. His case is why he doesn't maybe have the stats is that he was a leadoff guy with a different role, and so I always appreciated that perspective. And then my second guy is Juan Pierre. And
that actually was a great one.
Right. So I don't remember exactly what caused me to look up his stats, but then I probably spent half hour, 45 minutes just digging into it. Because from 2003 to 2007, he played all 162 for 5 years straight.
Yeah.
Okay. But the shocking thing was that in his 14-year career, he only had an OPS plus over 100 twice. And so OPS 100 is league average, so it's on base plus slugging percentage, and then 100 is league average. So then the number that you're off of 100 is the percentage that you're better or worse than 100. So for example, an OPS plus of 107 means your on base plus slugging is 7% better than the average, and that at a glance is not good. And I was trying to figure out why, and it's because he just didn't slug. Right. But he has a lifetime average of 295. So another high hits guy, or another high hits, high average guy, but he's not necessarily going to slug. But in the leadoff position, you don't have to slug. You can, but getting on base is the name of the game. So he also has a career on base percentage of 343, which is pretty good. But the slugging was down at 361, and usually you want that a little higher. A couple other things that stick out was that he had 4 seasons with double-digit triples, which is interesting. He was a big speed guy.
Yes, he was.
600.
This is with the Marlins,
Colorado, and Rockies.
When he left the Marlins, went to the Marlins, that's really helped the Marlins. Left Colorado.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Did.
So he didn't hit a ton of doubles, hit a decent amount, only 18 career home runs. So very, very low home runs.
He wasn't
pretty
low
guy
anyway.
No, he wasn't. Pretty low RBIs too.
Yeah.
High stolen bases, that kind of thing. The other interesting thing is that he has 167 sacrifice hits, so sacrifice bunts, and that's something else you like to have out of a leadoff guy. So I don't know. I just thought he really embodied that role well that doesn't get reflected in the numbers after his career, kind of thing.
I love watching him play, and like I say, he was exciting when he got on the bases, and because you never know what he's going to do out there, but he created excitement and helped create great offense for the Marlins. And with the Rockies, not as much because they didn't have a good team, and you have a tendency to try to swing for home runs there. I don't know how many. Well, I guess most of those triples, like you said, with the Marlins, I was thinking that in the Colorado ball carried so well. But he started to mature more so when he went to the Marlins.
And they won the World Series in 03 when he first got there.
He was the key.
My man, Jim Leland.
Who comes to mind for you, George, when we start talking about the leadoff guys?
Well, the number one, I had to go. Well, it's either Lou Brock or Ricky Henderson.
Yeah.
And Ricky Henderson usually the obvious one, but in Lou Brock's case, sometimes you want to go with a left-hander that he's closer to first base.
Yeah.
And we're talking about high velocity as far as slugging. You don't really want that guy. Sometimes you just want to make contact, and especially on the AstroTurf or a harder surface, being able to make contact and put the ball in play. So Lou Brock really stands out. Not only he at one time had the most stolen bases and had broken Maury Wilson's record. So then Ricky Henderson broke Lou Brock, but he was always a threat. Just come up to the plate is a threat. Because right away the pitchers are saying, and that's one thing a leadoff guy does not understand, that they're trying to get ahead, throw the first pitch strike. But in Lou Brock's case, you're not necessarily looking to take the ball. He's going to drive the ball because he had a high career batting average. So Lou Brock really stood out. Of course, he's a Hall of Famer. But you watch these guys, and the Cardinals always had great speed in their lineup.
Yes, they did.
They always drafted or traded for speed.
They did.
And a lot of clubs don't do that now, but it's starting to change.
They're starting to change
again.
Yes, they are.
But you go to Billy Hamilton, that guy would have been a great player if somebody there to teach him how to do it.
Yes,
put the ball in play.
Yes.
He hit the ball at one period of time. Hit the ball more in the air than Joey Votto did.
Yeah.
So that's not the right way you want to go. But when Billy get on base, he created havoc on the bases.
He did. Yeah.
Good.
What about you, Rick? Who comes to mind for you?
Well, I did like the Ricky Henderson because I kind of patterned my son's game after him.
What's your son's name?
Ricky. It's your name, Ricky.
But I like Brett Butler.
Okay.
Oh, I remember Brett.
There
yeah.
you go.
When
Brett
Brett went
Butler.
from the Braves to the Dodgers, that's what
his
he
game
yeah.
took off, man. And I didn't even like Brett Butler, but when he went to the Dodgers, man, it's like, man, he led the league in stolen bases a couple times.
I know he was
didn't
up there all the time.
Yes, he was up there all the time, man. So I like Brett Butler. He's a lefty and didn't have a lot of power, man. But he can bunt. Especially from the left side, he can drag a bunt, man. He can do a push bunt, man. He can do it all. Run, get on.
He can tell you, really. He can tell you that.
He'll tell you that he's gonna lay down a bunt and still beat it out. So yeah, Brett Butler.
That's a name from the past. Yeah,
Yes, name from the past.
He's a great guy. A great guy, even though you may not like him. But
I know.
I say going
He is a good
from the
dude.
Braves, and with the Braves, he was
Indecisive.
indecisive what he wanted to do.
Yes.
He wanted to get on base, but how do I get on base? And then when you had that power lineup, it's like, I don't know, should I bunt or what? Or
Going to the Dodgers, I think, opened up his game.
The Dodgers, that's your
man. And
mindset.
Yes.
The other thing I want to mention is you notice, not necessarily with Lou Brock, but you mentioned with Brett Butler, Juan Pierre, Kenny Lofton, Rick Anderson, guys that play for a lot of different teams.
Yeah.
I just thought about that, and I think it's because it has to be because those guys just provide value wherever they go.
Ricky Henderson, out of all of them, had the most power.
Yeah,
The way it was built.
For sure,
And that's
for
why
sure.
I kind of patterned my son's game after him because he was built like Ricky Henderson had gap power.
Ricky.
Doubles, triples, and stuff. But he actually was probably... it's been a while now because I think the leadoff role has kind of changed a little bit.
It's changed a
because
lot,
now
bit.
there's power guys that are trying to
to-
George Springer,
Shohei Ohtani. Yeah,
Yes.
you're
get
just
ahead right away.
You're playing the at bats game and get the best player the most at bats, and I get why you might think that, but
Schwarber at leadoff that
Yeah.
one time.
I know.
so I yeah. Well, that's a topic for another time.
Yes.
For a kid in the Midwest,
That's Moneyball.
for a kid in the Midwest growing up in the 80s, the late 70s and through the 80s, we all knew about Ricky Henderson, but Ricky Henderson was in the American League for so much of the time. Not the whole time, but I mean for much of the time. And so our guy that we thought of in that sort of Ricky Henderson role was Vince Coleman.
Oh, that's right.
Vince was.
That Cardinal again.
That guy was like lightning.
He was.
And, he was always excited. I mean, I was always nervous when the Reds were playing the Cardinals. Vince Coleman comes up. You're just
what about me? I was nervous.
I didn't want him. I didn't want
to hold them to a double.
Yeah. Like, I didn't want him on base. I was like, just no, because he was so fast and so good at stealing bases. And so, yeah, he was kind of the National League Midwestern, guy that we all knew about.
But another guy who jumped around at the end of his career. And I think you see those guys jump around in the middle of the season to go to the playoff team that needs that extra.
A little bit of speed.
Yeah.
Willie McGee, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, and then I think, as a Reds fan, I always think about Pete.
Same with
He's not the typical.
No.
Not just having the speed.
He didn't have no speed.
But he's leading the league in doubles, so it's like he stole second.
I was saying, he did the job. He's not the prototypical person we just mentioned, but yet, like so many things about Pete, is he just did the job. Is this what you need? Fine, I'll do the job. Yes. That's what you need? Fine, I'll do the job.
He filled the role.
Yeah. Like, the guy played more than 500 games in 5 different positions, and I mean, I'm just whatever you need, I'll just do the job. So so that I always think about Pete when we think about leading.
And talk about havoc on the base paths. I mean, the guy who embodies that more than probably anybody.
So you finished the season last year, exhausted from all the travel and the tournaments, and you tossed your gear in a bag where it's been sitting all winter. Now you're ready for another year, but your favorite glove that fits just right is an error waiting to happen. The leather's dry, the laces are brittle, and this year you're on a new team with new colors, and it sure would be cool if it matched. Well, wouldn't it be great if you had a glove guy who could help you out with that? You do. His name is Ethan, and he owns Glovehound Baseball Glove Repair Shop in Fairfield, Ohio. Just contact him at glovehound.com and upload pictures of your glove. He'll give you a call back to talk it over, and then you can send it in for a repair, relace, recondition, whatever you need. If you're in the area, you can even just stop by the shop. That way you don't have to bother with shipping, and a lot of times he can even fix it while you wait. Rawlings, Wilson, Mizuno, All-Star, Nakona, he's seen them all, and he's helped players at all levels, from beginners to pros. Last year, he worked on a glove that Jose Trevino used in the World Series, and he can help you too. You can find Glovehound on Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and on the web at glovehound.com. You're only going to get busier, so reach out today and give your glove the love it deserves at Glovehound. Okay, so our second stereotype is the contact clubber. Okay, the contact clubber, low swing and miss rate.
So he's going to be touching that ball more often than not when he decides to swing.
Yeah, even foul balls, whatever, he's going to keep that thing alive. Doesn't make the best quality contact, but it's hard to get anything by him.
So he's more likely to make more weak contact, basically, rather than take a pitch that he doesn't think he can do as much damage on.
Ball in play is the name of the game for this guy. Like, get the ball in play, start some havoc, start some action going on, and see what you can make happen. Rarely draws a walk, and lacks the patience to hunt the good pitches.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where that tendency to have a lot of weak contact comes from, because maybe, George, it's a lack of awareness of their hitting zone, and rather maybe just trying to hit anything that they can rather than identifying their strengths.
Or lack of confidence of hitting with 2 strikes.
Okay,
but that's a good guy, though. If he's going to, even if it's weak contact, sometimes it's good if he's going to hit and run.
If he's going to hit and run.
So now the guys, of course, he may end up getting an infield hit, but you don't want to really reach the infielders. But making weak contact is a plus.
So my 2 guys for this category are Jacob Wilson and Luis Arias, because these are 2 guys who make a lot of contact. It's not with a low average exit velocity, meaning that they're not hitting the ball hard as often.
That is true.
And so you're going to have fewer strikeouts and also fewer walks. So your on base percentage, though you hit the ball more, may not be as good as your guy who's a little more patient, a little more strategic. So I also think of this as more of a defensive swinger, kind of just scared to let anything get by him rather than, like you said, have the confidence to hunt something specific.
Yeah, these two guys, it's tough to think of because I don't look at a guy batting second in the lineup, not being disciplined up there.
Yeah, same with me.
The guy that stands out because he really helped the Dodgers at one time was with the Cardinals, Edmund. So he would put the ball in play, but he really focused on hitting the ball on the ground, which was great. And now you have almost a guarantee that the runner's going to advance. And the other guy came from the Dodgers, Lux. A lot of times he's trying to be a slugger, but he can put the ball in play. And he's a guy that situational hitting, he's great because number one, he's left-handed. And most times than none, he's trying to pull the ball. He's going to hit it sometimes weakly to the second base and first base. So Frito is going to have a chance to advance to the next base. But he had a lot of ground balls through that hole between second and first. A lot of times that second base is playing behind second base. So it's almost like, okay, we're going to bet. I know he's going to hit it there. And so Lux and Edmund, those two guys really stand out. And at one time, Edmund was a switch hitter, but he kept changing, finding out which side he's going to have more contact.
What you got, Rick?
Well, at first, doing my research, the guys that bat second a lot in their lineup is Mookie Betts and Francisco Lindor, but they don't fit a typical contact players.
They got a little more power.
Ozzie Albies does.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Ozzie does because he's not a bigger guy, but he hit to the right side a lot. Yeah, and
also being a switch hitter, but with Lindor, it's that you don't want him. It's like you're wasting him being in second.
Yes,
but I want the guy that like on the Reds that I really want to be batting second. People say, why him? But we had to teach him how. McLean.
I agree with you.
But they got to be able to put him in a spot that he's going to be productive. And Frito gets on base, he can bunt him over or just give himself up, hit the ball to the right side and not getting the ball in the air. And with that speed.
Or even with that being what he should do, what he did do, he hit a lot of long fly balls. I mean, every time I went to a game, he hit probably 2 or 3 to the warning track. So if you've got somebody on base, that's now productive because you're moving to third, you're scoring on that long fly ball. If
he's at second.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if there's nobody on base, then it didn't do anything.
Well, that's why with him, teaching him how to keep the ball out of the air.
Yes, got to keep him out of
his
the air.
His hands are too far from his body. He thinks he's a slugger. But just being able to put the ball in play with the speed that he has.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna keep it rolling here so we can get through these.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna go with the runner mover. The runner mover is a fastball hunter. He is aggressive at the plate. He's looking for something to hit. Can I put a bat on that? He does not want to go up there and come away with anything else. He's trying to drive the ball up the middle of the field. His job is to move the runners. We talked about this in part 1 of the offensive objectives, is that the best way, hands down, to move runners is with a hit, and that's what this guy is out to get done. He's looking for fastballs over the middle in a hitter's count, and he struggles with the slider,
especially from lefties.
Especially from lefties.
So this is going back in history. This guy Tim Foley, when he went to Pittsburgh,
when he was with
So Omar would get on base, and either Foley would bunt the ball and get him to second, and then Omar was still third. Then the infield doesn't want to come in because Dave Parker's up. So, but they score a run that inning. So that's a big situation because I look at guys. If you can score a run earlier, it puts the other team on defense. But Foley could handle the bat well. But knowing that putting him second, so now they eliminate him getting breaking balls because you have a Parker behind you. You don't want Foley on base when Parker's coming up. If Parker hits a solo, that's fine, but hit a 2-runner. But Foley handled bat very well. I just admired how because the Pirates look to be sluggers, but they did play. They manufacture runs.
That's an excellent point about the slugger who's maybe behind this guy controlling the infield depth. That's an excellent point.
Who you got, Ethan?
My guy, I went with Miguel Tejada because George often preaches the home run to RBI ratio, and this guy had a career of almost 1 home run to 4 RBIs.
That's
and
great.
so George looks for the 1 to 3, and he's got the 1 to 4. So this guy can have power, and it's more of a byproduct. His power is going to be a byproduct rather than the intention. So just and I know RBIs nowadays, they're not valued as much because they say it's a circumstantial situation, but you still have to come through when you are in that situation. So you can't ignore RBIs.
Yeah, you play over 15 innings if you ignore an RBI.
That's true. That's true. What you got, Rick?
I have a father and son duo.
The Bonds.
The Guerreros.
Oh,
Ooh,
The
yes.
Oh,
There you go.
I like that.
The Guerreros, man. They both hit 3.
yeah.
They both hit 3.
And sometimes they were the contact clubber, hitting balls that bounce on the ground and that kind of
Especially
thing.
the senior.
Especially the dad.
Especially him, yeah. Yeah, that's a great example.
Yes, especially Dad. But in the series that the Blue Jays just played in, man, boy, he Junior, he had a lot of RBIs, man.
Yeah, always hitting the ball hard.
Yes,
and,
home
I like
runs,
that.
RBIs, doubles.
Yeah,
He so
great.
Put the ball in play hard.
he does.
Yeah.
And the funny thing they said about him is he's not a launch angle type guy. Everything's line drive. It's just
Yeah.
Where he just had a different launch angle.
yes, he has a different launch angle. Stays inside the ball very well.
This guy he's going to probably have just under the just under the number of home runs that the top guys have,
Yes.
but he's also going to be up there in doubles.
And
his strikeout,
RBIs.
RBIs. His strikeouts might be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good pull.
But that fits a Ted Simmons because you're looking at Piazza, looking at Johnny Bench, and they look at Ted Simmons. Ted Simmons is going to hit for great average and still drive in runs. So you don't have to hit home runs to drive in runs.
No.
And Jack Clark, that's the one that comes
man.
to mind.
Jack Clark was
Jack
a
Clark.
beast.
You've been in that lineup with the Cardinals, and man, the first and third or second and third, he's going to hit the ball harder to right field than he did to left field.
Yes. Yeah.
That's cool.
Now, when creating this, I specifically took everything that George has said about his own playing career and tried to put these
That's me.
into the points. So
I'm
you
alive. I'm alive.
I wondered if you would catch on that, but I know you were looking for the fastball. You were an aggressive hitter. You were always looking up the middle. We talked about moving the foul poles in.
Yes, that's what I always
or just
said.
right of the
Moving
face.
foul poles in. Yes.
And he was not a fan of that left-handed slider.
And you didn't like the left-handed slider. From what you've said so far.
Just Steve Carlton. They should have
he was a
outlawed the
beast, man.
sliders. Steve Carlton.
But even you've said yourself that your home runs were more of a byproduct, that you were looking to affect the situation rather than drive up your own total.
That's where it should be because people are looking for too much for results. The results are really the
By playing a
byproduct.
team game.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, this is a
also-
great teammate.
But your
Yes.
strategy up at the plate, because
Right.
watching the Seattle play, Polanco, I'm glad he had redeemed himself.
Yes.
He's up there with men at first and third, and he strikes out. You cannot
Yeah,
strike
you can't.
out in that situation.
No.
But he's trying to hit a home run to be a hero by hitting a home run. But the next time up, he was more disciplined.
I think that comes down to your hitting coaches too, man.
Yeah.
Just
If you have one.
Some I was just reading. Some have 2. That's too many.
I don't understand how
Yes.
you have a hitting coach and you have an assistant hitting coach.
Yes, exactly. I just
What?
read about that. I was like, that doesn't make no
Is
sense.
one for a right-hander and one for a left-hander? I don't understand.
The second guy is supposed to stand there and say, "Yeah, what he said."
Yeah. No, it's like, yeah. It's like Bubba, yeah.
The enforcer.
One of the fun things. So in putting this together, Ethan actually had ChatGPT work up a scouting report on using George's career stats.
Wow.
Which have been kind of fun.
This is my house.
So this is what ChatGPT has to say about George Foster. It says Foster was a prototypical middle of the order run producer with plus raw power and a high impact bat from the mid 70s to the early 1980s. He combined good contact rates with elite gap pull power in his prime, producing seasons of MVP caliber production, especially 76 through 79. Over his full career, he graded well above average offensively, OPS plus of 126 and WRC plus of 126, which matches his reputation as one of the era's best right-handed sluggers. That's what ChatGPT has to say about it.
These guys need to pay me for that, man. I didn't took my notes.
I didn't know that.
Ethan is more than my podcast partner. He's my son. And like every baseball parent, my first priority was his development as a player. Every year, we'd start out with a new coach and a new team, making new promises, only to end up playing the same old tournaments with little to no practice in between. You know what I'm talking about. That's why I'm so thankful that we found MD&I Academy. I first met Coach Rick over a decade ago when Ethan was just a kid, and I'll never forget the relief I felt watching his first lesson. I knew right then that no matter what team he played for, my son would have amazing, consistent instruction from someone who cared. Rick has trained baseball and softball players at the select, travel, and even college levels, so I knew that Ethan could continue his excellence through training approach for his whole baseball career. He learned hitting, pitching, catching, fielding, and more all in one place. Most of all, he learned to love the greatest game in the world and how to play it with character and integrity. So if you're wearing yourself out, running all over town to multiple teachers, or worse, you're counting on that new select coach to actually develop your child, you need to check out MD&I Academy today. Go to mdaiacademy.com and contact Coach Rick to learn how you can get all the baseball instruction you need from someone who cares about your favorite player as much as you do at MD&I Academy. All right, let's keep moving. So the next one we have is the power driver. The power driver is big body, but he's slow. He's got tons of power. He struggles with the breaking ball sometimes. He's got a good plate coverage, so he's got quite the reach, the big hitting zone, and high swing and miss rate.
Yeah, this is the guy who is trying to hit a home run every single time. And good plate coverage comes from he's usually up on the plate a little more, trying to take away that outside pitch, because usually he's also looking to pull the ball. So my just absolute embodiment of this is Adam Dunn for me. The guy always looking to do.
Adam Dunn was my guy too.
And then I think also a guy who kind of took this too far, a guy like Joey Gallo. A guy who had
I agree with
unreal power, but couldn't make contact enough to use
make the adjustment.
Yeah, so these guys usually have more strikeouts. Walks can be up there if you're afraid to pitch to them. But these guys aren't usually a base stealing threat. But yeah, home runs is usually your indicator for this guy.
Those are great. But the guy that he's fast, but you can't steal first base. So he's fast, but he's not a big body, but he strikes out a lot. And he thinks he's a slugger, or it's Dela Cruz.
Yeah. And
it I had to get into biomechanics or physics with him. Because his swing is too long, and each swing, it gets longer. Yeah. And he tried to swing
trying to do too much.
Hard. Yeah. So,
and he's not the only Cruz in the NL Central that has this problem. O'Neal Cruz is the same way.
Yes, they have the same body type. Man.
Exactly, and he hits the ball pretty much harder than anyone else in the league.
Right.
He's also faster than pretty much everyone else in the league, and so it just feels like a waste to not get to see him, play to his full potential, because he just walks back to the dugout after striking out.
And guess what? Where he's playing at?
He's playing center field.
No. The thing is the one with the Pirates. Though I know he didn't want to play center field.
He didn't.
Because he tried to play himself out of playing center field. Ball's hit there, he just take his time to get to it. He wants to play short.
Yep, he
but
wants to play short.
It's two bookends, though. The Dela Cruz with the Reds, he's aggressive. The Dela Cruz with the Pirates, he's not aggressive. Here's all these right-handed hitters, pitchers, and he's taking fastballs down the middle, like swing the bat.
Yeah, swing the bat.
So if you can get a lower the power in a taser, you have to tase that guy to get him to react. But there's a lot of potential there. But these guys are hitting, say, 20 home runs. Oh, I'm a home run, 20 home runs.
That ain't nothing.
If we hit 20 home runs when we played that's an off year. I hit 20 before All-Star break, but not bragging, but fact.
Anybody else come to mind, George, for you when we start talking about power drivers?
I was going to go, but a lot of the parents would know it. George Scott. You know, here's a guy, he's not fast, but he's more of a slugger, and he strikes out a lot, but when he makes contact, look out. It's Katie bar the door, but George Scott stands out. But back when we played, we didn't have a lot of guys that they were not athletic.
Right, yeah.
And today, some of these guys, I feel that they're not in shape. They're not in good condition. And maybe he'll get better with Sal Stewart. You know, here's a great prospect, but he needs to get in shape.
Yeah, man.
But he looks as though that he's been in the league like 10 years or so with his body type.
He look a doughboy.
Well, it's like guys who are freakishly athletic that you wouldn't expect. Guys like Prince Fielder, and you're like,
Fielder, or
Pablo
Sandoval.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Pablo.
He ate himself. Well, Bob Horner, he got an incentive.
Yep.
If you get at a certain weight, you get a bonus each game.
Yeah, you talk about those big sort of thick kind of guys. Buddy Bill was kind of like, he was like big kind of thick kind of guy. Yeah.
But he was athletic.
Yeah, he was. He was still playing.
Man.
He was still playing hot corner. He was
cannon.
I'll put Josh Naylor in there too.
Yeah, especially now. Yeah,
just because a guy with his shape and athletic ability being able to steal third, that's just impressive.
That one I marveled at, because this is what we've been talking about. He got to second base. You see base stealers not taking advantage of that. Yeah. And that was a key run.
It's in the playoffs when it mattered.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because now he caught everybody by surprise. Yep. And he went out there, had a game plan, gets on second base. When you're on second base, you got one out. If you have any type of speed, try to get a good jump. Yep. And they talked a little bit about it, but with our talking about situational hitting and situational play, that was great.
Who's on your list, Rick?
Well, I have two different spectrums.
Okay.
Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jose Canseco.
Okay.
Jose had a lot of power, pulled a lot of balls. You know.
Yeah, and Cal Raleigh just dumbfounds me. The fact being a switch hitter, being able to do what he does is just unreal, and being a catcher at the same time.
And be a catcher.
But that guy though, he's always dangerous. Because he has an idea. He's not a ball's outside. He's not trying to pull everything.
He has put. He's got good plate
for
coverage.
We had a good year one year, Gedman, but he was doing that Charlie Lau style. So he had the same swing, but they weren't throwing it in that zone.
Yeah. So those are my two.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, Adam Dunn was the first person that came to my mind.
Adams.
Yeah, Adam Dunn.
When it came to this
40,
kind of
40. He got those, 5 years in a row or so, 40 home runs?
I also thought about, before all the performance enhancement silliness, but I also thought about Mark McGwire in this way.
Yeah,
me too.
That was kind of his goal up there.
That was kind of his thing.
But that's the cool thing about Adam Dunn. You know, without being one of these steroid era guys, consistency can kind of is going to elude this guy throughout the season, being that sometimes he can be a little more streaky because he's swinging for the fence so often, and so he tends to strike out more. Adam Dunn struck out a lot, but consistency over each season, I find that interesting. It was that he was able to replicate that over and over and over.
The other guy I was thinking about, and this goes along with what George just said too, which is this guy played in an era when everybody was athletic. It's just the way it was. Is Dave Parker. I was thinking Dave Parker would have given this. In that, God help you if he gets a hold of it, but then he's also just tremendously athletic for his size.
Well, and that's what George's point, I think, brings up when we talked about this a lot in the home runs episode, how George was the only one to hit 50 home runs between Mays and Fielder. Because like what you're saying, that wasn't really the goal of most guys. That this player was not as common when you played, especially in the 80s. It was so contact oriented.
Yeah.
Right. And someone said that maybe the specialists in bullpen, you're having more relief pitchers coming in.
Yeah.
So you're not facing that pitcher 3 or 4 times during the game. So there were a lot of different changes. I didn't think much about it until someone said, what was the difference in that period from 70, it was 62 to 77, what was the big difference? So, and then even, because I was the only one in the 70s and the 80s as far as hitting 50 or more home runs.
The other thing, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The other thing I was thinking about was, I can't really think of, you talk about a championship team back-to-back World Series. You talk about 75-76 with the Red Machine, and I don't really think of any of you guys as like a big power. I think everybody's moving runners.
Yeah, it's not a go big or go
Almost
home,
like
so to speak. But
fast
like
break
Johnny
basketball.
Bench, Johnny Bench, he wasn't fast, but he was quick, and he was very disciplined up there. He knew his zone.
Yeah.
And I don't think, but it was a joke, one day I was caught off guard. He said, Jordan, congratulations. I was like, on what? You made the club. So what club? You got 100 strikeouts. Like,
I mean, Johnny could seriously hurt you in the right time. But Johnny was also, he's just as likely to hit a double and move guys. And
same with Tony Perez, too.
Yeah.
He's
clutch.
He's more of a runner mover, a guy who's going to have a lot of RBIs.
You guys
but
have
the
a whole
guy
team
that
of guys
maybe
like that.
really fits that profile is Lee May.
Yeah.
But he ended up with, we had 350, I think, home 350 or 351, because Dickie Allen, I think, had 351. But here's a guy who was a slugger.
Yep.
So he's going to go up there and hit his 35 or more home runs, and he's going to have his strikeouts. Yeah. But you knowing that it's going to be a hit and miss situation, but when he's hot, because like on, say if he goes out Friday night and the next day we say, how did you hit that ball? I mean, you were out late last night. He said, well, I look at, there are 3 balls there, so I hit the middle one.
All right, our last guy.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
I have one other person that is a power driver, but he had great plate coverage, and it says big body and slow. But at the beginning of his career, he stole a lot of bases and was a leadoff hitter until Jim Leland. He says, I don't want to be a leadoff hitter. Barry Bonds.
Yeah. Transition for sure.
Yeah, transition.
Yeah.
So when he went to the Giants, he became more of a 3-hole hitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So Barry Bonds, I would say, power driver, hit for average, walk, have power.
Good on
base.
Good on base because nobody wanted to pitch to him too.
Yeah, that's true. All right, our last profile is the patient poker. This person is very disciplined at the plate, can hurt you on the pitch they're looking for, but only if it's exactly what they're sitting on. Has the mindset that a walk is as good as a hit, works a count every time, and has elite pitch recognition.
Now, so the thing I want to keep in mind for really all 5 of these is that these are extremes on a spectrum. So really good players are going to be a mix of all of these. But the guy who I had in mind here, Gavin Lux, and then also Joey Votto. Guys with the mindset.
Yeah, Joey Votto.
I had Joey Votto.
Yeah, Joey Votto was the first.
Guys with the idea that walk is as good as a hit, and so they're a little more of a passive approach, trying to take those walks. So these guys, the average might be decent. You just can't expect. Maybe the clutch is a little lower because of what they're trying to do. On base percentage should be high. But then it's not uncommon for these guys to be able to have some power and to really do damage when they get what they're looking for. When the pitcher makes a mistake and they can really, punish them for it.
Muncy for the Dodgers. Yeah. Here's a guy, he goes, number one, I want to change his stance. He's down in the crouch, so now he's at a different level than when he swings, he comes up. And then he take the first pitch fastball. He's a guess hitter, or guess batter, I would say.
Yeah.
But this guy, when he's hot, you know, he put together a pretty good mass of home runs. But this guy, he's been, I don't know his age, but he's been around a while.
A long time.
I think he came from the Oakland organization.
Yeah, he did.
But when he gets in there, he's still a threat. And so Muncy really stands out. And as far as discipline, he's not disciplined when he gets two strikes. But I said, why did you take the first pitch right down the middle? Oh, it's like in golf, you know, I don't hit the ball. I don't want to hit the ball in the middle of the fairway. I hit it in the rough or somewhere. But this guy, when they throw it in his zone, he'll hurt you.
What do you guys think about Freddie Freeman?
When he's on, he's tough. But now, when he's not on, he's missing the zone because he's in between pulling and hitting the ball to left field.
Yeah, I think because I thought about him when I made this, and this is a point like what I just said. How a really good player is going to be a mix of everything. Yeah. I think he's a little more. He is patient, but he's also a little more contact. So I think him and a prime Joey Votto are very similar players.
I agree.
But the guy Olsen,
Olsen.
He'll hurt you, but he has a lot of holes in his swing. He will not change.
Well, it's funny that they traded for.
Right. Yeah. Well, he went from Oakland to
Atlanta, and then
and Olsen is, you know, he's a little unique in that he's also the power hitter. Mm-hmm. So when he does that damage, it's even more so. But it does seem to me that as players get older, they start to fall to the extreme of these stereotypes. Do you know what I mean? Yes. When they're younger, they're a little more rounded, and then they start to fall in. You know, so a guy like David Ortiz, you know, he had more contact at the beginning, but then as his career progresses, it's more power strikeout kind of thing like that.
Yeah,
it's almost like when a guy get fatigued, they start being disciplined. So they're hunting one location and trying to hit the ball out of the park. They don't want to have to get on base and run the bases, but hitting the ball out of the ballpark instead of putting the ball in play.
If the patient poker is all about plate discipline, when you say a disciplined hitter, the very first name that pops into my mind is Ted Williams. Yeah, now, I don't know if Ted Williams fits this particular profile.
No, Juan Soto.
And Juan Soto. Yeah. I was gonna say he was my current person.
Okay.
He was my current person. But anytime someone says disciplined hitter, plate discipline, whatever, my brain automatically thinks about Ted Williams.
Yes.
Just because he was just sort of, I don't know if you could say that he was the godfather of it or whatever, but man, that's where all the kids in my era, that's where we learned it. You know, take the first
science
strike
of hitting and
all that stuff.
Yes.
So Ted Williams was highly influential in the way hitting was taught when I came up playing baseball.
That makes sense.
I have the book. Yeah.
Because our dads learned, like, you know, when George is coming up, when my dad's coming up, when they're playing Little Leagues, they're learning, you know, Ted Williams is still talking to people about it. You know, I mean, that's the thing. So they're learning this method, and that's why it comes down and you know, with the elbow up and the thing and I mean, it's a whole different that thing that I learned how to hit, and you looked at me like I had two heads. And it wasn't having any effect with you, and that's why when I got you to Rick, and Rick was teaching you more of the newer ways to hit, it was actually helping you a lot more than what I was saying, because what I was coming from was just a different understanding of
well, and I think the biggest thing with Ted Williams and his philosophy. The lot, you have to be able to step over the boundaries a little bit to fit it to the player.
Yes.
And so that's really what Rick did. Is
he looked at the word discipline and flexibility.
Yes.
So Ted was really strict in being disciplined, but I understand that helps you to be disciplined. But finding out where you can hit, because now with kids, they too into strike zone.
Yeah.
But it's okay if the umpire's good. But nowadays that you got to learn to get it hitting zone. Yeah. Expand that strike zone.
Yes.
Well, and what was funny is my personality. It's one of the reasons why I got fussed at a lot. about, well, they would teach us how to hit this way, and then I wouldn't do it, and I get fussed at a lot because I hated to see any pitch go by.
You're a rebel.
I wanted to put a bat on it. If it was anywhere where I thought I could put a bat on it, I was a first pitch swinger, and it drove my dad crazy. And I had no patience
You're
at the
a good
plate.
hit and run guy, though.
I wanted to hit that ball, and I wasn't fast, but I had a better shot at making contact with that ball if I swung earlier.
Right.
Because the longer I stayed there, the more nervous I got. The more I hated having 2 strikes on me. I wanted to,
especially if I had prune juice that day.
I wanted to pick a hittable pitch. I wanted to pick a hittable pitch and get on it right now.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that always drove me crazy when you were playing is that, we would go to these things and you'd watch the team and the kid throws the same pitch at the beginning of every single at bat.
Right.
I mean, even more than when you watch. They do that in the major leagues.
Yes.
But when you were up every single time, that fastball came down the middle, and every one of your teammates sat there and watched it go right by, and because they were like, "Well, I got to take this first strike." And I'm going, "Are you kidding me?"
It comes from overthinking.
Yeah, because I happened to know that the next thing he was going to do, he was going to turn and go to that breaking ball,
go to secondary pitch,
which didn't work for him, or was a little more. He'd come at you with that speed change, and he'd throw a little bit of a change, and then now everybody's way ahead of it. Because he set you up with that fastball that you weren't going to swing at because he knew you weren't going to swing at it because nobody swung at it all day and it's in the 4th inning. So, this is the part of the strategy from the other side is if I'm gonna throw fire in there the first time everybody gets up there and you're not going to swing at it, I'm going to come back with something that
That's smart
that
on
hangs
that.
or moves or slows down.
But the same thing when it's the 9th inning and you down 7 runs and I'm telling the kids, swing the bat. They're up there. I want to take to get on base. But you didn't do any much earlier. You think you're going to have a 7-run inning? Swing the bat. Yes. Even though you're not feeling that you're in this game, get yourself ready for the next game.
Yes.
And I've never understood that frustrates. That will get me to turn off a Reds game faster than anything in the world. If we get to 7, 8, 9 innings and we're standing there watching pitches go by, and I will just shut the damn thing off.
Why?
I'm not going to do this because it just raises my blood pressure.
But it's up to the management though, the manager or the batting coach. Swing the bat.
Well, that's one that I have to hand it to them in that series against the Dodgers. They swung. And they swung at everything.
But they needed a pitching wedge to hit most of them.
Oh, my gosh. They chased every breaking ball that Yamamoto had in his pocket, man. Oh, and Blake Snell and all that.
So, George, tell me this. Was Clue a big fan of the hitting zone and being aggressive, or was he more of a plate discipline guy?
It's a combination. It's Hunt, in a sense. Well, he was disciplined in the sense that, especially Perez, Foster, Bench, even Morgan, middle, if the counts in your favor, look middle in.
Right.
So, and counts say you have 2 strikes, you still want to be aggressive, but looking middle away.
Yes.
But it's not, when you have 2 strikes, not still looking for a ball inside, because you're going to expand your zone.
Yes.
And that's, as a power hitter, you need to do that. If you're a singles hitter, it doesn't matter putting the ball in play. You're not looking. You want to drive the ball, but not out of the ballpark. But when the counts in your favor, looking middle in. I had guys who they had a 2-0 count and they swung at a pitch that's outside for a base hit. They're excited, got a base hit, and then I asked them. I said, "Okay, who won that battle?" He said, "Well, I did. I got a hit." I said, "No, he kept you in the ballpark. You didn't get any extra base hit. Look for a pitch middle in," but a lot of guys don't have the confidence to do that.
No, they don't.
And
that's why a lot of them get jammed a lot,
like
George.
Austin Hayes, the count's in his favor, and the ball's outside a slider, he swings at it. But they may not trust having 2 strikes on him.
Yeah.
So you got to know the mindset of that person.
Yes. Yeah. I used to get nervous at 2 strikes, man, because I was like, I did not want to be the kid.
I was a better hitter with. Better hitter with 2 strikes.
I wish I could have done that. I wish I would have felt more confident. But 2 strikes just felt like, okay, I've lost twice and I'm almost out. I need to do something desperate here.
Level swing. Let it travel. Wait for your pitch.
Be aggressive out there. It's no wonder young players get confused at the plate. What if your son or daughter could learn not only how to hit the ball, but also where to hit it, when to hit it there, and why? George Foster has played baseball at the very highest levels. He was the National League MVP when he hit 52 home runs and 149 RBIs in a single season. He led the major leagues in home runs twice and RBIs 3 times. He was a 5-time All-Star, a Silver Slugger, and he helped the Reds win back-to-back World Series. During his 15-year career, George developed a unique approach to hitting that made him one of the greatest hitters of all time, and now your favorite player can learn it too. That's right, baseball legend George Foster is currently accepting new students. Learn the psychology of hitting, situational hitting, hitting for power, bunting, and more. Every team needs players who can hit, and George explains the game in a way that's easy to understand and exciting to learn. So check out GeorgeFosterBaseball.com to learn how you can apply for private lessons with a member of the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame. Spots are limited, and the roster will fill up fast, so don't wait. Apply at GeorgeFosterBaseball.com. So those are our 5 profiles: the leadoff, the contact clubber, the runner mover, the power driver, and the patient poker. Now, we actually profiled 10 different people when we did this, and so we're going to meet some more profiles as we go forward.
The
great
biggest
job, Jay. Great job, Ethan. You did a lot of research.
He did.
the biggest thing is that when you enumerate it to those different ones, you get things like the balanced, or the doubles guy, or
clutch guy.
Yeah, and so it gets a little more subjective, but it becomes a mix of these, and so these are, like I said, these are the extremes of the spectrum, and you want bits and pieces from each one of these. And you might even could say you want to avoid becoming one of these entirely, because we talk about having tools in the toolbox,
Right.
Yes.
You don't want to be stuck in a hole, you want to be able to be moved throughout the lineup if you need it, or be able to do different things based on what the situation calls for.
We talked about that with regard to like guys like Pete, where okay, this is what the team needs. Okay, I'll learn to do that job. It's you want to be a guy who has options.
Yeah, for sure.
And so they can.
But
use
in
you
Pete's
the right
case,
place.
the best spot was leading off, and Wade Boggs the same way.
Wayne Boggs, Mattingly.
Yep.
Ichiro, but mainly Wade Boggs. He could hit home runs, but by giving up, how much is he giving up if he's trying to hit home runs?
Yeah.
If he's going to hit it in the 40s or more, but in his average is not going to suffer, but he just felt, okay, I'm going to hit the ball between short and third, go from there.
So what we're going to do is, in light of, we've had a really good discussion. It's kind of gone longer than we thought, but I've really enjoyed what we've done. What we're going to do is we're going to break this into 2 parts. And so next week we'll get to pitch sequencing, pitch strategy, specific strategy. So if you made it this far and you're going, hey, what about that? Just tune in next week. We'll get to it. It'll be fine. And I'll put, it does say part 1. That's top.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
So there you go. But before we're done, we want to wrap up with some skills and drills ideas. And Ethan, you had some interesting questions regarding this. So why don't you share?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the guys in the bigs are the best of the best. It's their job to do what they're doing. And so it's good to look at them as the ideal, but also have the self-awareness to know, and I'm talking about the youth level, to know that you're not there yet. And they've done a lot of growing they're way past puberty, but also growing in the weight room and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of intention to build the physique that they have. So Rick, when we look at these different archetypes, I have the question in 2 different parts. One, I'll break them up so I don't throw too much at you. Number 1, how do you use this? How does this information translate to the youth level? Should you try to fit a specific role, or should you try to remain flexible? And when should you do one or the other?
That's a good question. I think being flexible, because each kid is different in how they internalize hitting and their bodies and things. But also, I think sometimes we give kids too much information. So if they're going to an instructor and then they go into and listening to their coach, and then they're listening to maybe their dad or someone like that.
Right.
So a lot of stuff might get internally, or if they don't do stuff on their own. So I just keep it simple.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the main things. Understanding, letting kids know or helping them understand where they like to hit the ball at. I think
There you
George
go.
went over that. And the umpire strike zone when you're in the box.
Yeah.
I just had a kid the other day. I said, when you in the box, do you keep track of the count in your head? Do you understand what's going on? So you gotta really, it's a thinking game. This is baseball IQ. It's a thinking game, and you need to understand what's going on at the same time.
Yeah, and so I think I like that, and I think what we uncovered in the hitting episode was the approach of looking middle in a hitter's count, and then getting not getting defensive until you have two strikes.
I agree.
That whole concept that applies for all five of these guys.
Yes.
That there are certain blanket approaches that everybody can have, and that just because you're a fast guy or just because you're a big guy with a lot of power, it doesn't mean that you have to hit like that. There are certain concepts that transcend.
Well, because especially as a young player, you may not be a fast guy next year, and you may not be a big guy next year. You
Yeah,
may be
that's a good
big
point.
right now,
Yes,
because everybody
Yeah.
else hadn't grown yet, and then you may find out that you're an average size down the road, or everybody got bigger than you.
Yeah.
That changes so often, which is what brings me to a clarifying question, which is at what age do you expect to start seeing people show tendencies toward one of these profiles or another? When do you start looking for them to show those things?
I look at
Go ahead.
round 14 because now you got to decide on not only by that time you find out what type of player that guy's going to be, and then also deciding on what sport you're going to be. You got to make decisions at that time frame.
Yes.
But it's like
high
8
school
years.
and-
Yeah, high school. But when you start into high school, and then the length of the bases change and
Yes,
things
yeah.
as such. And guys who you're taller than before, you're the shortest one on the team.
And then
so it's a lot of adjustments that are taking place. But when you start with 8 years old younger kids, you looking at what they can do and not forcing them into a certain role.
I like
Yes,
that.
exactly.
You take what you have rather than forcing them to specialize into a certain role.
Yes,
yeah, I really
right.
like that
Yeah.
because for me, I was a bigger kid, and so I just assumed the mindset of the slow guy. And so I feel like I never really broke out of that. And so I didn't steal hardly any bases, and I was never going to try to bunt. I tried too hard to hit for power rather than just having an approach and keeping it simple. That's a great
Well,
point.
if you
Because
think
you'll
about-
grow into that role
Yes,
as you move.
Yes.
So I was just telling another kid yesterday, I was like, what you are today, a year from now, you won't even be that kid, man. You might be somewhere else depending on how you grow into your body. And so that's why George hit on something about expanding the zone. That's why I tell kids there's no such thing, well, it is, as perfect BP when you come in.
Right.
Because there's going to be times where I'm trying to strike you out. I'm trying to throw a change up to make you foul it off or you look or whatever. And it's okay if you go down swinging or if you miss. And I get it. It's so excited when you foul off a tough pitch, man. So those are things that you got to keep playing over and over and over with kids.
That's growth.
Yeah, that is growth.
I like the idea of taking a look at these. When you get to the majors, these may be slots that hitters. These may be profiles that hitters sit squarely in.
That's right.
When you're a kid, these are jobs that need to be done.
Okay. Yeah,
So if
I like
you look at that in terms of, go back to when I would coach fall ball, okay, and we had a bunch of kids on the team and we were having a good time and whatever. my approach would be, I would go, and I'd say, Mitch, here's what I need. I need you to go out there and get this kind of hit. I need you to go out there and just put a bat on it. Just put it in play, make this happen. Or I need you to go out, Wave, I need you to go out there and get on base. Wave was great at getting on base. Okay, he was fast and he could hit the ball, and he was the closest thing I had to Ricky Henderson. Man, just go get on base. And then go tear it up and freak him out on the base path. So, thinking about what I may need in this situation may be different than what we need in another game in this situation, and trying to teach the kids to do these kinds of things as different jobs that need to be done.
This is a great profile for coaches when they're scouting kids, and then also teaching them.
Yeah.
Because the kids may not understand a lot, and then they may get a complex. You're like, well, they said I was slow and things as such, so they lose that confidence.
Yeah, so I look at it as, I don't necessarily want a kid to think, okay, I'm a contact clubber, but I want to be able to say, okay, you're coming up in the game, you're coming up in the lineup. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go out and do this job, and it
could change.
Yeah.
So if you have like we said, like 10 different profiles, okay, how do I get to 5? This is the things that you need to do to get there.
And you look at, if you're in a tournament, you're in pool play, you're that particular weekend, you got a kid who's just, normally he's a contact clubber, but now he just has a thing going where he's moving runners. He seems to be seeing the ball well, and he's on when we got runners on base.
Or the opposite is your aggressive guy, for whatever reason, just has his bat on the shoulder. And then you got to adjust.
Yeah, and so you got to move your lineup around. Yeah. And you may have to say, okay, I need you to do this job now.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily telling them these profiles. I'm not necessarily telling them, naming it, going, I need you to be this guy. What I'm saying is, I need you to move here in the lineup and do this job now.
Yeah, there you go.
Or the thinking.
Yeah.
So now the guy that was aggressive before is not as aggressive. So you put a hit and run on, encouraging him to swing the bat.
I like that.
A lot of times they don't want to swing the bat because now it's like, if I miss it, it's on me. But now at least I'm aggressive. I want you to be aggressive because you don't understand that even though you're swinging the bat and you miss, it keeps the catcher back.
Sure.
Yes.
Because I had one play, it resonated from that day to now. I knew that it was a tie ball game, and we weren't really the team they looked to win. So I had my catcher at first base, there were no outs. And the guy who's up, he had the tendency to take the first pitch. So they knew that. So I said, okay, first pitch, hit and run. And my catcher got thrown out by a small margin, but if the guy would have swung the bat, we would have had first and third. But then did that saying, my bad, I go, or somebody like the umpire apologized to Sanchez, it was a strike, I'm sorry I called the ball on you, but how can I, benefit from it now?
The second part of my question is, how do you identify the opposing players and slot them into these different profiles to then attack? But we'll save that for next time, because that's a much more in-depth question.
Yeah, how do you take that? How do you take that I watched BP experience and then distill that into a strategy?
Because sometimes you might have to pitch backwards. You know what I'm saying?
Well, save it, because pitching backwards is I love pitching backwards. But point being,
I like pitching in reverse, but pitching backwards, like, I'm from another country. I don't know what's out there.
That's talking backwards.
It's talking backwards.
But I like, because you don't, for you and your own team, you don't want to put too many labels on kids, because then they try to form their identity in that label rather than kind of exploring what they're able to do. But when you're when you're playing against a team, you're trying to identify who they are and what they do, and then how to exploit it, because they're the opposition. So
I'm going to add one more to that.
What you got?
So George, and I've ran into that. Parents will call you up and they'll kind of give you a scouting report of their kid.
Yes.
Oh, he's slow. He doesn't hit here. He does this and that.
No, the one is that they don't strike out. That's he's not aggressive.
So then I get him. I said, I don't see nothing wrong with him. Not what you're thinking that it is. And then I just said, man, he's just not being aggressive. Just swing the bat, man. And swing the bat, boom, they start hitting it out. I'm like, that was it, man. Okay, you can go on them.
The other thing is, if you're coaching little kids, let's say you're coaching 7, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, man, there's nothing wrong with before the game. Okay, everybody sit down. I'm going to give you the lineup today. Okay, so Joey, you're up first. Now, what I need for you today, you're the leadoff guy. That means I need you to do this. Okay, now you're coming behind them. I need you to and you're teaching them sort of what the jobs are by where they are in the lineup. They may be in a different spot in the lineup in the next game. Whatever.
They want to know why.
Yeah. Yeah. But, so, and it could be, it's 7, 8, 9-year-old. It isn't because they didn't do a good job in that last week. It's because, we're just moving.
Work on a different skill.
Yeah. So, but the idea is that when you set the lineup, rather than say, here's a card, here's a lineup, everybody read your name. All right. And we're off to something else. Tell them why they're first. Tell them why they're hitting in the 3-hole. Tell them why they're hitting, unless there just really isn't any reason, you just put them on there. But it's still, at the same time, tell them what the person in that slot in the lineup should be thinking about.
We only have 9 players. We had to put you somewhere.
But I mean, use that opportunity when you're coaching little kids to start teaching them about making lineups and what lineups.
But that's the key to a coach, being able to teach these kids and finding out, like, the bottom line is finding a position they can be in to help them to be successful.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like that.
I'll guarantee there were select teams, even high school teams that you played on, where guys went up and saw where they were in the lineup and had no idea why they were there.
Or just assumed that they should be higher and then didn't think about what it means to be a lower in the
And they
order guy.
become withdrawn.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
They
just
didn't walk
they
away.
come
They didn't walk away going, okay, they got me hitting 6. That means I need to be thinking about this.
yeah, and then
Or last.
exactly, it just becomes a negative thing, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
value to those 8 and 9 guys,
Right.
Because
10.
you're in the lineup.
Yeah, that's what I used to say. I used to say that as long as you see your name in the lineup,
We're counting on you.
You're only guaranteed to hit in that order 1 through 9
Right.
once. It might happen again, and you might start the inning at the top of the order, but it's not. More often than not, that's not going to happen. So I think you could make every kid just pick a number 1 through 9, and then that's where they get. And then okay, you picked it. You have to do this.
But
job.
that's why because I'm closer to the team. That's what I think. The Reds, they need to know why they're there.
Yeah.
But you put a steer in second. I don't want him second because I want to put him in a spot that he's going to drive and run.
Yeah.
And so he goes second. Okay, now I don't think he's going to be as aggressive batting second.
Right.
But then if you have him second because you want to get him more fastballs to hit, now you got to encourage Friedel to steal more. Even if you get thrown out, you're attempting. You're letting the other team knowing you're going to give that effort.
Right. So, okay, well, that's where we are this week. So next week we will come back with the in-depth look at pitch selection, pitch sequencing, different strategies to use from the mound. How do you come at hitters in these profiles doing these jobs? And we hope you'll join us. We hope that you'll tune in, bring a friend, and enjoy the show. So until then, you can find us on CompleteGamePodcast.com, GeorgeFosterBaseball.com, MD&IAcademy.com, or Glovehound.com.
YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff.
All that stuff. Any place that you listen to podcasts, you'll find this. So hopefully you'll check it out, maybe give us a good rating, come back next week and hear part 2. So for all the guys, I just want to say thanks for joining us. Have a great week, everybody.
Arigato.
We hope you've enjoyed the Complete Game Podcast, the show that's all about baseball. New episodes drop each week, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving us a 5-star rating, or better yet, drop us a comment or a question and let us know what you think. The Complete Game Podcast is produced and distributed by 2 Creative Digital Marketing. Check us out at 2creativedigital.com. On behalf of Ethan, Coach Rick, and the Silver Slugger George Foster, I'm Greg Dungan saying have a great week, and we'll see you real soon.